Well, let's get to our first conversation today, our first day of July 2025. The federal government says the 60-day administrative pause on the 25 million naira levy by the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria will remain in place. The pause will continue in the mid to long term, pending a broader legislative review on the contentious annual dues cap. This decision follows widespread criticism of the FRCN's 25 million naira fixed annual levy for public interest entities. Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, Dr. Chijioke confirmed this in a statement made available to newsmen in Abuja. She said the government would maintain the pause while legislative reforms are considered to address stakeholders' concern. You will recall that in March this year, the federal government established a team working committee for stakeholders' engagement, which includes representatives from NECA, MAN, NASIMA, and other private sector bodies, alongside the FRCN team. Dr. Oduwole affirms President Bola Tinubu's administration's commitment to transparency and a pro-business regulatory framework. Well, let's talk more on this and start my show. Joining me via Zoom today is a renowned economist and is also the vice president of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu. Dr. Ekechukwu, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining the show this afternoon. It's really good to have you in.
Good afternoon, Tolu. It's my pleasure.
Let me wish you a happy new month.
Thank you very much.
Well,
and you too.
Yeah, I think let's start our conversation first. Let me ask you, let's look at the business environment, the ease of doing business initiative of government, and this move by the FRCN. We've seen back and forth from the private sector, particularly with regards to this development. I think let me take you first with your overview with regards to this move vis-a-vis, the ease of doing business initiative of government.
Okay, what played out is, or was the very need to be able to engage with stakeholders. You could see that with the engagement with stakeholders, it was necessary to identify the need for federal government to suspend whatever levy that was being imposed by a Financial Reporting Council. Now, what this means is that there has to be a cohesion, a coordinated cohesion by every government agency to work towards the overall objective of government. Overall objective of government is to grow businesses locally, to invite investors into the country, and if that is the overall objective of government, and also to make sure that the MSMEs grow and thrive. If that is the essence. And we also say we want to improve the ease of doing business. So when we have all those as overall objective of government, then we should not allow any government agency to distort that process by imposing one particular levy or the other. So if you want people to do business in Nigeria, you don't impose some kind of levies, call it any name, just because you want to raise some funding from your agency. And to imagine that private institutions that are not publicly quoted companies have been given certain percentages to pay of their revenue base, meaning that there are some institutions, maybe the telecoms companies, the oil and gas companies may be paying as huge as 100 to 200 million naira every year. So this they consider too humongous, and they wanted that cap that has been capped with the publicly quoted companies. And so that is just like having to have fairness in the application of such acts. So that was all they were asking for, and that was just good. So it was good that there was such suspension of that payment of levy, but of course it has to have that cap if you want to continue with whatever levy you want to impose. I think in general, we know that we are still struggling with the implementation of ease of doing business. A lot of areas we keep talking about that have not been resolved That's why we keep saying that a lot of work still needs to be done in this area of ease of doing business. We haven't gotten it right. And the Minister for Trade, who was on that particular desk before, knows that it was such a very huge assignment to do, because you are announcing different things and people in different departments of government are doing different things. You don't have control over what they do in those places. And so there needs to be that overall powerful will, political will to give certain instructions and orders in order for everybody to align to a particular objective of government towards easing this difficulty in doing business in Nigeria.
Exactly. I want to take it up from there, because we've had business people complain about some agencies, regulatory agencies, not in sync with some of the policies, instituted by the likes of PEBEC, by anything that has to do with ease of doing business initiative. By the time they get to some regulatory agencies, it gets to another thing. Some forms of levies and all of that comes up, stifling businesses. So how do you think we can begin to have this handshake so that everybody understands and stay on the same page? It doesn't work if people are working across purposes in some cases where everyone's supposed to be focused on the same pace. When we have different thoughts around things like this, I think that's when we are. What do you think government should do? What should the private sector players also do? What sort of conversations should we be having so that everybody aligns with the ultimate goal of government, ease of doing business for small and, of course, large business organizations and entities?
Yeah, firstly, the chairman of the economic team, who is the vice president of the country, must be on top of this. When he's on top of this, every single stakeholder, every single government establishment that has anything to do with ease of doing business must come on board. The organized private sector must come on board. And again, some Nigerians must come on board. Probably professional bodies must come on board. When we talk about ease of doing business, it actually starts from our embassies outside the country. How do investors who want to come to Nigeria, how do they access our visas? How fast can they access visas? When we get to the country, are we still having the agencies at the airport begging for money in various guises? I'm sure you still experience that they will just tell you, welcome back. What are you welcoming me back for? It's not your business to welcome me back. Your business is to look at my documents. And you see them looking at you, where are you coming from? What did you bring for us? Those are embarrassments to this country. So until we start dealing with those things from our airports to our seaports into this country to ensure that when people come into this place, nobody is trying to take away money from them in one method or the other. And then we see that things are going smoothly as you want to register. It's not enough. I keep saying that it's not enough to say we have one-stop shop place where you can register. Registration of companies. It's not just any. It's not even up to 1% of the ease of doing business. So let us look at all the stakeholders that constitute certain users or certain distortions in that process. Bring all of them to the table, and then the chairman of the economic team should be able to address one. And once all these things are done, then there has to be a communique, and that communique will be followed by various laws, change of laws and things. And of course, there must be sanctions also. Sanctions in the sense that when we see that anybody representing this country is misbehaving or not working according to the plan, instruction given or laws, then the person must be sanctioned. And the whole world should know that this person has been sanctioned so that others will sit up. So these are the ways we can continue to ensure that these stakeholders are carried along. And otherwise, we're still going to be doing paperwork of ease of doing business, and we're not going to get results.
All right, Dr. Ekechukwu, let's take a commercial break. When we come back, this conversation continues. We'll be back.
The world needs mums. with a splash of golden terra oil. A mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. Resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra Oil for pure love.
No buy am. But why? No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal. Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
Guys, food is ready.
Suitable for jollof rice, stew, spaghetti, and yam portage. Cooked to impress.
In the 21st century, Nigeria cannot be an independent nation without technology independence.
In a world racing towards the future, out of Africa is Zynox Technologies, a Nigerian tech group with major global certifications, proven capacity and a bold vision to domesticate world-class technologies.
From powering critical government infrastructure, homes and businesses, to delivering some of Africa's most integrated ICT projects, we are redefining what's possible, and we take responsibility. And with our efficient high-power renewable energy solutions, we are bringing sustainable power to homes and businesses.
Let's build a stronger tech nation, powered by Zynox. Zynox. Anticipate the future.
All right, thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at issues surrounding the federal government suspension of the annual levies imposed by FRC, and that's the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. And I've been speaking to Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, who is a renowned economist and vice president of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, making sense of this topic. Now, my next question to you would be, when we have issues around regulatory uncertainties, and of course, things like this, what does it mean for investors' confidence? And of course, at this time where we're even trying to rebuild that confidence.
Yes, when we're talking about investors, we're talking about, first of all, the indigenous, the local investors, before we even talk about the foreign investors. Nobody will want to invest in a place that is hazy, that is in a place that is not clear, where you have a lot of gray areas, where you cannot explain what the implications of law will have on your business. And so an average person wants to see clearly how the impact of government policies will have on his or her business. And so if that is the case, it is always good to have a very transparent policy. And when we have those policies and we have those laws, we must be able to make them known to Nigerians through every means we may use to make them known. So it is always important that investors be given enough communication on what the laws and the bills and the acts are about and how they affect their businesses, so that they come clearly to know some of this. When that is done, you see that a lot of people want to enter that business. I can't enter into, say, an export business when I don't know some of the laws that guiding export business from here, both in this country and other countries where I'm exporting to. And that is actually how it affects investment. That is why it is very important to clarify and make clear those policies and make them known to various investors, locally or foreign.
finally, conversations with key stakeholders like NECA, MAN, NASIMA also remains very, very key. Abuja Chambers, LCCI, and all of you. I want to ask you how that conversation has been in recent times with the present minister, of course, your relationship and, you know, making government know your challenges and how it's been addressed, because you're key to the economic transformation of the country, and the government must carry you along. You coordinate the business community. So how cordial has that been since this administration? You know, recently we talked about 2 years in office. Now it's more than 2 years in office. We're counting. So just how has that conversation been, and how can we further strengthen that conversation?
I can tell you that this particular administration has had, especially through the ministers, has had a very cordial relationship with organized private sector. When you invite the minister, all the stakeholders, especially NIPC, Executive Secretary, for events, you see that they make efforts to come. Unlike before, we're not having that kind of collaboration. And so I can give it to the current minister right now that they carry along all the stakeholders, especially in the organized private sector, and that relationship has been cordial. We shouldn't have business summits outside the country where government officials only will be taken along to go for such business B2B meetings or government-to-government meetings, and you don't see private sector engagements. That is not right, and so we need to have more engagement of the private sector stakeholders so that when we come back with all those information and all the contacts already made, you see that actions are taken immediately. Unlike having government people who will just go and their interests will probably be their extra code, which they're going to be collecting. And the private sector people need to be increased in number so that we come back with results and follow them up through.
Finally, your reaction to the Tax Reform Act. I know we've talked about this before. I'd like to get your views around that as we wrap this up.
One of the best things that has happened to Nigerians, and in fact businesses in Nigeria, one of the best things is this reform. From 2026, I'm sure we know that a lot of businesses may not be paying taxes anymore because they're not within the basket of payment of taxes. And so this is just to encourage small-scale enterprises that have been struggling to pay a lot of taxes. And then, of course, the reform has also tried to harmonize the problem we've been talking about, the multiple taxation that we'll be having in the country, trying to harmonize it and to identify those ones that must be paid and that must not be paid. Otherwise, I think this is one of the best things that has happened to business and actually to Nigerians. That was why I was surprised that some governments, state governments, were challenging it. Again, it became obvious that they didn't fully understand it. It was after they understood it that they actually endorsed it, and that has actually helped to get it endorsed and signed into law by Mr. President.
Beautiful stuff there. So let's wait for the implementation and how that will, of course, impact the entire economy. Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, I must thank you so much for your time. Interesting conversation with you. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so very much again. All right.